Stars, it's Peps, it's Jdog, and you know what time it is? It's the round 15 lace-out review. It was a massive 6 games of football. Yes, it was the 6-pack of sexiness, football style. Peps is here, Jdog is here, lots to get through, plenty to discuss, lots of interesting sort of movement, I must say, Jdog, along the football path to success. September glory. It's when the movers and the shakers. We're starting around. We're going past the clock tower, the watchtower at Flemington, and we're heading on the way home to head into the straight for the final part of season 2024. How are you, big fella? How did you enjoy the weekend's football? And most importantly, are you okay?
How did I enjoy it? Is that what you're asking me, Peps?
Yes. How did you enjoy it?
Did you not see the shit show that unfurled itself on Saturday for my football team?
Yes, I did. But besides that, there was lots of other games. It's not just about you. How many times have we told?
Okay, no. So it was around. It was around. There was some shocks. There were some confirmations, and there were some upsets. No, this week.
Just tripe. It was just tripe. Nothing.
Just.
It was just crap. Hey, lots to get through because I want to talk to you. We're going to have a look at our I've got an interesting breakdown who I think is the real second challenger to the Swans. I have done all the data. I've gone in and I've got a couple of teams that might surprise you based on current form up to round 15 so far in a number of key areas. And then based on the draw that they're going to have moving into the back end of the season. So it's
Peps,
interesting stuff. Yes.
Don't have to tell you this.
Yes.
It's not the Melbourne Demon podcast show. So if you're going to say the D's, Peps, everyone just log off now.
I have got some great news for you. We don't even get a mention. We don't get a mention whatsoever, and neither does your team. How good's that? We're actually going to talk about 2 other teams. Hey, look, let's get straight into the ladder. Let's go and have a look at it. Beautifully set up on the screen here. Let's just jump on top, make it a bit bigger. Rightio, Sydney Swans. They were brutal on the weekend. Good luck stopping them. Well, that's all I'm going to say. And then we got the basically everyone else. So Carlton sitting outright second on 40 points. Essendon and Collingwood even had the week off and still ended up on 36. Is that 38? Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. So they're very, very tight there. Fremantle on 34. They've made a move over the last number of weeks, and they've got a pretty good percentage as well, which helps. GWS, they are just hanging on. Their early season form is the only thing keeping them in there with Geelong, with Port Adelaide and Melbourne. So you've got 4 teams on 32 points, and none of them are playing any good at the moment.
Nope.
Those 4 teams could drop out. Then you've got Brisbane, who we're going to get into very shortly. Western Bulldogs, I'm going to get into very shortly, sitting on 30 and 28, as long with the Gold Coast Suns, who, they're just away from home, useless. Hawthorn had the week off, but they're coming home hard. St Kilda, great, they had the week off. Adelaide, West Coast, Richmond, and North Melbourne, who can hold their heads up high after what they did against the D's. They were massively ripped off, in my humble opinion. It would have been great to see North get another win, beat my mob, and it would have been helter-skelter down at Jollymont if that had occurred. What do you reckon, big boy?
I think that you and I are death riding our coaches at the moment.
Fantastic. Yes, we are.
Gold Coast just confirmed what I've known about Gold Coast all along, and they do not play football beyond the month of June. And it just confirms once again that you went the early crow far too early.
On who? Brisbane
and Collingwood.
Yeah, well, you know what? At least I put my balls on the line and say, Jamie, I don't think that they're going to make it. It's okay to say that. There's a difference between us and everybody else. I'll say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. That's okay. But you know what? There's still time left in the season. They could fall in a complete heap, and Hawthorn might make finals. You never, ever know. That is how good football is.
All right. So I'll ask the question, Peps. I'll ask it every week.
Yes.
Last week I said beyond 12 can't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the line now for you looking at this week's ladder after the weekend results?
I'd say 11.
11 up can still, or Gold Coast can still, or are you saying Gold Coast down?
No. 11 up, but 9, 8, they can forget about it. So 10 and 11, which is Brisbane and Western Bulldogs, they will jump in. And it would not surprise me if Geelong fell out as well.
Ooh, big shift in the.
I think Geelong have got too many games at GMHBA, but no. So this is the thing. Jeremy Cameron, Hawkins has gone down now. So their big power forward is all going to be put back onto, and we saw what happened last week when they only had one forward practically playing against Carlton, destroyed them. So I reckon Geelong might fall out as well too. And that would leave the door open, in my humble opinion, if they continue doing what they've been doing over the last 7 weeks, Hawthorn, which I never thought, and it's funny, we're going to have a bit of a chat about that in a moment, about who's set themselves up for September and who's packing for Vegas.
Nice. Can I just say something, Peps?
Yeah,
I can't recall a season where the ladder at round 5 has looked so different come round 15.
Normally at round 8.
We're probably talking by round 5, you've got a pretty good feel of what it is. We're talking probably half the ladder from round 5 falling out by the finals time. That's a big shift in the ladder.
Well, like I said, normally around about 8 to 10, it's locked in, doesn't change. We actually said around about that time frame, it's locked in, and teams have just fallen in a heap. Some of those teams who had great starts to the season have gone completely backwards, and other ones who couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, they're pulling in every fish under the sun right now. They are just magnificent. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. Hey, really quick whip around from the games on the weekend. Carlton destroyed Geelong. There's no real other way you can put that. They're the real deal, Carlton. But I also think that the retirement home is now starting to call. They're starting to knock on the door and pull some residents in. We saw what happened with Hawkins. There's a couple others going down as well too. So Geelong's run at the top. It has been going since the mid-70s, is finally going to end, unfortunately. Look, I'm going to throw it over to you, your mob, because they got booed, they got jeered, everything completely went wrong. I'll throw it over to you.
It's what the supporter base has been calling for the last 5 years. And it's all now blown up in our face. We've given away multiple first-round draft picks for players that we didn't need, and overpaid for players. And we've had 2 lists now, and if it's not the list, if it's not all that stuff, if it's the same failure we're seeing every time, what does that tell you? Apparently, we have the best midfield in the AFL. I don't agree with that, but apparently we do.
You might have the best midfield, mate, but unfortunately, if you've got a person who can't actually drive the car properly, doesn't matter how good it is. Does not how well that engine is going.
I think we've had it. I think even the happy clappers have now had enough.
Yep. I saw that. I was a bit shocked, especially early. I thought, oh, it's actually not too bad, but then they just blew it away, especially that after half time.
I'm telling our Peps, 2011 Port Adelaide standards were played on Saturday.
You know,
2011 Port Adelaide.
Tarps, I'd go with you. Actually, isn't it? Yeah, if you had the Tarps. City won by 27 in the Battle of the Bridge over the Giants, but that should have been more. They sort of let a few junk timers at the back end, to be honest. So that was easy. A game that there was only 3 points in it, Melbourne and North. I don't really have much to say. I actually would have preferred that we lost, to be honest.
I turned off the final quarter because I thought, you guys are 32 points up. You're done.
Yeah, you're a Melbourne supporter. We know what exactly would happen. The only out, I gave him a bit of a spray on Saturday night in my little bit of a rant, trying to keep it a bit more controlled. There's no point going off your head when they're serving up that. But I will say this, they had 10 players under the age of 22 playing, which is a big difference for us. That said, though, giving up that much, there's players that are getting games on reputation. I cannot see what game plan we're playing. We're all over the joint. We don't deserve to play finals, and big questions need to be asked. North Melbourne, they have bottomed out, and they're getting bigger. They're getting better. And I will also say that they are only probably 3 or 4 semi-decent players back-wise, and their future is going to be nice and steady.
I agree. Although what concerns me, Peps, is the media are talking about how Nick Larkey needs some support down there. The problem is, I want Nick Larkey at Port Adelaide. So the less support he gets at North,
Willie's not going over there. But hey, look at this one. Lee Max jumped on board for the first time this year. Must mean that the Hawks are going all right. But you two blokes going on about your coaches, 22 others are responsible. I don't know.
12 years. 12 years, Lee Mac. 12 years. No premiership. Done.
And all I'm going to say is, if you can tell me what my game plan is, I've got no idea. I personally think Hinkley's time was up when they lost the home prelims of 20 and 21. They had everything going in their favor due to COVID and still couldn't get the job done. AFL Insight, great comment there.
Welcome to Jamie's podcast.
Welcome to Jamie's podcast. And last game of the week, 2 games, sorry to go. Essendon versus West Coast. Hey, it was a pretty good game, pretty fast game. The Eagles aren't as bad as people say, and Essendon did what they had to do. And Fremantle beat the Suns. That should have been a given. I actually picked the Suns to win this one, thinking that they would have taken this one out because they had so much. And then I realised that it's being played outside of Queensland. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. And the wankers with anchors still just continually serve it up week after week. And, yep, they're not going too shabby at all. And we know there's bucket loads of teams that had the bye as well. All right, Big Dog. After round 6, we decided to sort of put our teams where we think the teams are when it comes to the AFL this year, when we thought they're sitting in terms of 4 particular spots on the ladder. We had them as going as possible. We had Dope Book September holidays, hold. We also had the friend zone and start packing for Vegas. Now, when we did this after the first 6 games were played, this is what we broke up with. And this was the breakdown of the teams. Isn't it amazing, my friend? After the halfway mark of the season where every team has played the 12 rounds, how much different this looks after the season so far. So what I would like to do is, instead of going team by team across the top, the next level and so forth, what I thought we'll do is we'll keep it by the AFL ladder, because that ladder is going to just put things in a little bit of perspective, because I want to start from the bottom and then work my way up. Is that okay with you, big boy?
Yep, let's do it.
Beautiful. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to maybe move it. Oh, do you like that one or do you like that one?
That one.
That one there. Okay. So let's start with the 18th place team, North Melbourne. Okay. When we had them originally, we had them in start packing for Vegas. And are they still packing for Vegas, in your humble opinion?
Absolutely.
They are, but I will say this: they are not the worst team at the moment. They're not too bad. So they could move into the friend zone very, very easily in the next 5 or 6 years. All right, Richmond, are they still sitting in start packing for Vegas?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, they're not moving at all either. All right, West Coast Eagles, have you still got them down there?
Still down there.
Beautiful. All right. Next, we've got the Adelaide Crows in 15th position. Are they still packing for Vegas as well?
Yeah, they're Vegas for me as well.
They're all right. So that really hasn't changed at the moment. St Kilda.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I think those 4 are pretty much right themselves. They haven't done anything. They're putrid, and that's where they deserve to be. All right. St Kilda, we had them in the friend zone. But Jdog, after what they've seen in the first half of the season, there's only one place that this mob can actually be. They're not even in the friend zone anymore. I think they need to start packing for Vegas, to be honest, because they've been sitting in the middle for so long, and they're not going to be challenging for the 8. They're probably going to sit anywhere from 12th to 15th. So why don't we just start packing for Vegas and just be realistic on where they need to be?
Just get them out of there.
Just get them out of there. They're wasting people's time. Get them out of the friend zone. They're not getting a date. They're not getting.
So they're on 20 points. They're on 20 points at the moment.
Yep.
And
2%.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
There you go, mates. There you go. Start calling your travel agent, boys, because don't worry about going to the MCG. You're better off going to 90210, because that's all that's happening with you. Rightio. Next thing.
Start booking your midgets and schoolgirls.
Oh, yeah, Ben Stark. Yes, midgets, schoolgirls, and make sure that you bring your lighters as well, too. Rightio. Hawthorn, they're sitting 13th. We had them after 6 rounds. They were packing for Vegas. I think they had 1 foot through the door. But Jdog, they are not even there right now. I'm actually bypassing the friend zone, and I would love to put them into the hold basket. Here's why. They are one game out of the top 8.
Yes.
They've got, I think, a pretty good run coming home, but they are probably the most informed team out of the Brisbane Lions and Western Bulldogs. I'll take those two out. But out of everybody else in the bottom half of the ladder, they are the most informed team. And I reckon they're a massive chance. If results start to go their way, and we've said that, and I'll get that in a moment in terms of how hard some of the draws are coming up, they could pinch an 8th spot. So they're a hold because they're not just sitting in the friend zone and not doing anything. They're actually having a good, hard crack at it. They're playing some of the best football going around, and they have come out of the cellar, and, mate, they are sitting at the table saying, we want a piece of this pie. They've bypassed the friend zone, mate. They've jumped.
Well, I don't mind it because they've got West Coast this week.
What more can I say? That is absolutely sensational. All right. Gold Coast Suns. Jdog, look, I'm a glass half full type of guy.
No, you're not.
But unfortunately, sometimes the glass needs to be poured out. And I don't know how much longer I can keep going on. They're a chance. They're a chance. We had them at a hold because we thought they were going so well.
Join me.
Go down one. Are we going one?
I'm going Vegas.
You going straight to Vegas? All right, we'll put the Suns in Vegas.
It's June. It's June, Peps.
Yeah.
They do it every year, Peps. Every year we talk about this. This is why I say that they are the biggest waste on the AFL landscape.
They're just a tease, aren't they? They're just a tease. And AFL's going great guns up there at the Gold Coast. It is.
I'm not knocking I'm not knocking what the junior and the senior lists and what's going on development-wise.
Yep.
But that team is a wasteland at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that the Hardwick effect has shown definite signs this year. It's going to have to take another year.
So did you. Is it the same about you all the time?
Yeah,
oh, the Suns are back. Look at them.
Yeah, well,
playing well.
I thought that would happen, but it's not. There's just a different mold up there now. There's too many players that aren't getting game. Look, you could go up there and get a retirement contract. You can't even get that now because there's that much talent coming through. There is that much talent coming through from this draft and the draft after that they're just going to stockpile so much talent, and a lot of it is Queensland talent now. It's not just pulling it back up. So I think Hardwick effect. I think we'll have another preseason under it next year. I know we keep saying it, but I do have faith in it.
Can I make a concession then?
Yes.
I will hold the olive branch out to my Suns supporter friends.
Okay.
The olive branch is I still believe that they will win a premiership before St Kilda.
Oh, that's probably correct. I'd actually probably agree with that. I would definitely agree with it. All right. Western Bulldogs. They're sitting on 28 points. Now, they are currently sitting in the hold, in a Braveheart accent. 28 points moving into the finals.
I'm friend zone, Peps. They're too inconsistent for me.
You're putting them in the friend zone?
Yeah. They're licking the tail of the 8.
They are. What I would say is that they've been stiff over the last couple of weeks with players that are injured. Norton being out, Richards being out. They're going to be back and Wakeman. They're going to be back in the next couple of weeks, and so that and also going to remember Darcy has been out. So they've had 4 players out for the last couple of games, and they've been able to get past those. I think they're a massive chance to make finals. I'd have them in the hold zone, but if you're feeling for the friend zone, like I said, we're going to come back in another 6 weeks, have a look at this. We both could be completely wrong. We both could be completely right. One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to be wrong.
I just need to maybe need to see what they've got ahead of them. But I think they're I just have got no faith in the doggies.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Well, what about this mob? The Brisbane Lions. We had them in the friend zone after round 6. They were going backwards at the rate of knots. Jdog, all I'm going to say is what they've served up in the last quarter of the season has been sensational. I didn't see a turnaround this big occurring because they had nothing going right for them. Game plans weren't working. They couldn't score. They were getting scored against really easily. And then it just clicked and everything's good. Do we put them up into don't book September holidays, even though they're sitting 10th at the moment?
think you kind of. I think you have to.
I think you have to. I can't see them going backwards. I can't see them going backwards. And you have a look at the teams that we're going to get to in a moment. They're going to be dropping out something chronic.
It's just looking good.
They're too good to be missing out. They play Melbourne this week. So percentage booster, and they're already on 122%, which is the second best percentage in the league.
Yeah.
Strap yourselves in, mate. They're coming home in a hurry. All right. Sitting ninth at the moment, my boys, Melbourne. Hey, look, we thought they were looking all right. They were sitting 6-2. They were looking sensational. Too many injuries. Game plan that doesn't work. Coach who's got no idea. Too many young players in. It's all on Gorn's shoulders. People can't kick scores. They are a shambles. I don't know who to blame, but something's definitely wrong there. There might not be smoke, but there's definitely a lot of fire, and it's not happening within the oval. It's happening within the four walls. Mate, they're going straight past hold. They're going straight into the friend zone. Actually, I'm putting them straight in to start packing for Vegas. They've dropped 3 levels.
Big drop.
It's a big drop. And when you see they're playing 4 teams in the back half of this season that they've already lost to this year. They're straight start packing for Vegas, and they're going to have to make some serious decisions. Now, this is coming from a team that was 4th last year, has lost their last 4 finals, and was sitting 6-2. That's a big drop off. Big drop off. But you know what? Sometimes it has to happen for the reality check to get banked. Somebody else that needs a reality check, Port Adelaide, my friend. They're sitting 8th at the moment on 32, just 0.6 of a percentage point with Melbourne. Be honest, mate. Where are you boys going?
Well, honestly, we can't talk about Vegas and Port Adelaide. So can we put like Bali there or something?
Look, I can't. You know what I'll do? I'm just going to put them into Vegas. But what I'll do is Vegas, but I'll put in a Bali just for you. How's that sound?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, because we don't want to bring it up. But yeah, your mob, no good. You're worse.
Absolutely putrid.
You're not worse than us. It'd be funny if our both teams played each other. How bad of a game would be?
We don't play. Oh, we got one more game this year against each other.
Yeah, we're going to go. We're going.
We're playing over there.
Where? No, you're playing over here.
Are we?
We played you already once over there. Now you come back over to here. We'll go to MCC again.
Oh, again?
Yeah, I took you last time. Anyway.
Yeah, you did. It's very good.
Yeah, very good. All right, Geelong Cats. Now, we had the Cats sitting, don't book September holidays. They were looking mighty fine at the top of the ladder. But at the moment, like I said, Hawkins is now out. They're starting to get a few injuries. Their form is a little bit inconsistent. I will say, though, they've got quite a number of games down at GMHBA to finish the season off, I believe. And so
it's not a brutal draw for them.
It's not. Can I maybe just put them into the hold at the moment?
Or are you going just one drop?
Well,
okay.
No,
You're
right?
nicer than me.
No, let's do it. No, let's go. Let's put them down. Friend zone. Because I don't know what's going on with them at the moment.
Can I give you the run home then?
Yeah, go for it.
Would that be helpful for you?
It might help.
Radio computer. So, Geelong Cats. What the hell is? Oh, sorry. Geelong Cats have got on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Essendon this week.
Loss.
Then Hawthorn.
Can you tell me where they're being played?
GMHBA against. Melbourne. MCG for Essendon.
They'll lose that
for the Hawthorn game. MCG for Collingwood.
They'll lose that.
GMHBA for Western Bulldogs.
They'll probably win that.
Blundstone Arena for North Melbourne.
I reckon they might lose that.
GMHBA for Adelaide.
Win that.
And then Dockers in Optus Stadium.
Lose that.
St Kilda at Marvel. And then the Weagles at GMHBA.
So they might get another 6 wins.
And 6 will get them a 13
win season, but we know it's very tight. Mate, I reckon the friend zone is the perfect spot for them at the moment.
Yep.
Perfect spot for them. All right. GWS, we had them in. They were flying. at the start of the season, and I don't think that they're much chop at the moment. They're definitely a hole for me. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, they hold.
Their scoring potential has just dropped off completely. Toby Green, I don't know what's happened with him, but he has gone completely backwards ever since he's had a child. Things are just he's not the same Toby. He's not the same Toby floating around. And yeah, there's something not right there. But I know that they can, when they do pull it together, they're going to be very, very challenging, very, very difficult. But like I said, we're only at the halfway season. We'll get there in a moment. All right. Fremantle. We had them in the friend zone. But based off what I've seen, their midfield is just humming at the moment. And their forward 50 set up. Tracy, Amiss, Frederick when he's down there. You've got Sarong drives down there. Brayshaw drives down there. Hayden Young through there as well too. We know what their back line can do. Can I just throw them straight to don't book September holidays? I like what they're
straight up.
Yeah, I'm going straight up with them. They are not. When we have a look in a moment, are they worse than your mob?
No.
Are they playing better than Geelong?
Yes.
Are they playing better than GWS?
Somehow, yes.
Okay, so you're looking at that there. Those three teams are going to drop out. You're not going to have four teams drop out. And I don't think it's going to be them. And the games when you go over to Perth are a lot harder than if you go down to Marvel or go to the Adelaide Oval. I just think that trip over there can be an absolute nightmare for teams.
Do you know, I agree, Peps. I agree with you. The only thing that Freo that freaks me out about them is they can play unbelievable football and then for 3 weeks go cold. And you're like, where has your kicking gone? Where's your scoring gone?
Yep. No, I agree.
I agree. I reckon they are better than what we've pulled out of that September holiday time.
Yep. Yeah. Look, they can be up and down, but they're scoring a lot better. They're sitting at a percentage of 112, which is
surprising.
It's a second best. It's a third best in the top 8
surprising.
At the moment. For Fremantle, I think Melbourne helped them quite a bit when we gave them about 88% that weekend. It was pretty good. So they're going all right. All right. A couple teams to wrap this one up. All right. Collingwood. To be sitting fourth with all their injuries and who they've got to come back, they are not a hole. They're not booking September holidays.
And 5 of the first games of the season dropped.
Yep. How many? 4?
First 5 games they lost.
They didn't lose the first 5 games of the season.
Oh, they played Brisbane first up, didn't they?
Yep.
No. Okay, but they did lose 5 out of 6.
It wasn't a good start. I think the first 3 they lost. Might have been the first 3. But anyway, they've come home strong. They've got their bearings together. We'll get into them very, very shortly because it was a very nice way to look at just where do they sit and what's their potential moving in based off statistical analysis for the first half of the season. But yes, they're definitely up there right at it. Essendon, look, I'm a believer now. There's a lot to like about Essendon. Still got a couple of things to fix up, and I'll get into that very, very shortly. But they're winning. They're winning well, and don't worry about being a hole. They are playing September action at the end of the season. So, Essendon supporters, you're either going to be very, very happy or very, very disappointed that you're going to lose another final. But you know what the good thing is, Jamie? It won't be my team, and it won't be your team having the record of losing to Essendon in the finals since 2004 or whatever it is.
It is true. And that weekend, this weekend just gone was my little green mental tick of like, yeah. They're a solid 8 team.
Yeah. And their forward line, Stringer, Langford, and Wright, when that gets up and firing, it's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, hey, Carlton, we don't have to talk about them. They're just doing what they need to do. And the Sydney Swans, they are up there as well. So there is our halfway mark. Don't book September holidays. We've got the Swans, Carlton, Brisbane, Freo, Collingwood, Essendon, a hold at the moment, the GWS and Hawthorn. In the friend zone, the Doggies and Geelong. Start packing for Vegas or Bali, Adelaide, West Coast, Richmond, North, St Kilda, Suns, Melbourne, and the Power. Let us know in the comments if we got it right, if we got it wrong, who needs to be shifted. And also remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get this amazing stuff delivered to your YouTube inbox each and every single week without having to lift a...
So, Peppies.
Yeah, mate.
Let's have a quick a quick rundown then of what we had. So we had Sydney, Carlton, so 1 and 2,
Yep.
Essendon, Collingwood, Fremantle.
Yep.
Okay, so from that list, then we pulled GWS out of the Don't Book September holidays. We ripped the Cats out, and we shunned Port Adelaide right to the bottom.
And Melbourne.
We pulled Melbourne out. Okay, so the current 8, you're saying out of this current 8 right now, as it stands, GWS, Collingwood, GWS, Port, and Geelong.
Yep.
Out.
Come out.
Out.
Yep.
You've put Hawthorn, who are currently sitting in 13th, into the hold.
Yep.
And the Giants, you've left in there in the hold pattern. You've declared that the Western Bulldogs currently sitting in 11th in a friend zone. Oh, I did, sorry, that was me.
Yep.
And the Cats sitting in the friend zone. So it could go up, but friendly zoney a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to do anything? Are they going to make a move, or are they just going to sit back and let everybody pass them and take their shot at the title?
And we've been much stronger this time on declaring our packing for Vegas Bali trips.
Yep. You know the worst thing is? Lee Mack, you know he goes to every grand final?
Yep.
He booked Bali grand final week.
Lee Mack, hit me up. I'll be in Bali as well.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then you two can hit each other.
You come across.
It'll be me. Well, if you don't want to go to Bali.
Come across, Peps. Lee Mack, Lee Mack, and myself at the Y Bar grand final day.
Sounds raunchy. All right. Okay. So, love to hear everybody's thoughts on that. Big rundown. But we'll come back in another 6 weeks and nail that as well too. All right, Jdog.
Mm-hmm.
The Sydney episode that we did last week when we went into some of the statistical analysis of why they've been doing so well was off the charts, so well received that, like I said, we don't focus on statistical analysis all that much on the show. But the big question that's been rolling around in people's minds for, what would I say, the last probably 3-4 weeks, who's number 2? If the Swans are number 1, so clear number 1, who is number 2? And so I thought I'd actually go out and do a bit of analysis on this because I think that there's got to be some stats around the key areas. Because, look, it used to be all about disposals, kicks, marks, handballs, tackles. They were the fundamentals. Data has changed so much over the last 3 or 4 years that I wrote out to a number of people on Twitter, and I'll read their names out in a moment because they were Andrew Whelan, who does Wheelo ratings. If you ever get a chance, get onto his website. It's an absolute belter. I'll leave a link in the show notes and also the YouTube link description. But his statistical analysis, I've picked out the key factors that I think what teams are going to be really known for in terms of this is what teams need to get right if they want to be a premiership contender.
Okay. So you're saying
this is based off data that shows that a number of teams have to be in the top 6 for a majority of these categories to be a genuine premiership threat. Now, Sydney, they're that far in front of everybody. I left them out completely. It'd be a complete waste of time to go through their statistical analysis. And so what I did was I didn't pick them all out. I just picked out a random 7 that I thought, I wonder where they're sitting. Okay. So I'll read these out to you. The teams that I've gone with Carlton, Essendon, Collingwood, Freo, the Western Bulldogs, and Brisbane. I left GWS out because I don't think they're a threat. At the way things are going at the moment, I don't see them as a threat. Those teams I do see as a threat. The second thing is I brought these in up until round 15. So last weekend's round of football. So these are up to date, and this is how they've gone so far throughout the entire season. So this is not just what they've done in the last 5 weeks. 5 minutes is what they've done for the first 15 rounds of the season, or 12 games if they've been playing as per normal. All right.
Okay.
The categories that I've gone for are points from turnover differential, shots at goal difference, meters gained difference, their percentage, opposition shots at goal,
yep,
turnover differential, and ratings points. So what their players, when you add them all up, where are they sitting from a ratings points perspective? So I've gone from a ball movement perspective. I've gone from how many shots are we having compared to everybody else? I've gone from points from turnover. So how many points we get from turnover compared to everybody else in terms of who we've played, turnover differential, etc. Okay. So if you take Sydney out of this, and I'm going to just focus on the points from turnover differential, I've got all these laid out. Then when I got all the teams, I then added up what their number was. The number 1 is the best. Number 18 is the worst. So when you add them all up, the lower your score, the better you'll perform so far this year.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll go through these at a semi-quick level, and I'd love to hear what the comments are from everybody listening to this and watching as we go through. Right. So from a points from a turnover differential, Carlton is 2nd. Essendon are 8th. Collingwood is 6th. Fremantle are 11th. Western Bulldogs are 3rd. And Brisbane are 4th. So they are basically like neck and neck on that. All right. So if you're first, that means you've got the best differential. If you're 18th, you got the worst differential. So the Bulldogs and Brisbane and Carlton have the best points from turnover differential. So they're getting more scores off turnovers than their opponents are.
So they're forcing a turnover and they're hitting you back the other way and putting on a larger score.
Putting on a score. Exactly right. Okay. Shots at goal difference. So how many shots you have compared to your opposition? Carlton is 7th. Essendon are 9th. Collingwood are 5th. Freo was 6th. The Western Bulldogs were 3rd. Brisbane was 2nd. So
Wow.
Brisbane are having more shots, and the Doggies having more shots than their opponents. The differential is huge.
That's not saying scores from shots. That's just saying that what we know about Brisbane being a front half team. Yeah. Is that confirming that kind of for us?
Yes. Basically what it's saying is that teams, so if we're playing, our teams, Melbourne and Port, Melbourne have 10 shots, you have 15 shots, there's a differential of 5.
Okay.
So when you put it all together, Brisbane have the second best differential. Doggies have the 3rd. Doggies one surprised me a little bit.
Same. I never think of Doggies as a high shots on team.
It can be shots, but they might not convert into goals.
And that's how I think. But Brisbane are more in my brain as one of those teams.
Yep, exactly right. All right. Meters gained differential. So how much territory you're taking up? Pardon?
Your favorite stat?
Yeah. How much meters you're taking compared to the opposition, the differential around that. Okay. Carlton 4th. Essendon 10th. So they don't take meters from you, which I thought was interesting. We'll take it one step further. Collingwood are 11th.
Okay.
Freo was 6th. The Doggies were 3rd. Brisbane was 2nd.
Could you give us a narrative as to what that means? Like, and when you're pulling that data out, what do you think why some teams are higher than what we think other teams would be?
I just think that, especially for the Western Bull, especially for Brisbane, they like to kick the ball a lot. And they move the ball from one side of the ground to the other, and then they slingshot it down the ground. So they don't use a lot of handball. They're mainly a kick to handball ratio team, where a lot of teams can be maybe handball happy to a kicking side of things.
Yep.
Also, if they want to use the entire ground, which they do, that's going to obviously increase the number of meters separating them as well too.
Yep.
Okay. Right. From a percentage, strict percentage, so your points versus the opposition points, what's your percentage that comes out, which is a real indication of your scoring prowess and also your defensive prowess as well too. Carlton is 2nd. Okay. Essendon are 10th. Collingwood is 7th. Freo 5th. Western Bulldogs 3rd. Brisbane. I've got them at 2, but I think that number's wrong.
Okay.
Let me have a look. Percentage. I'll tell you in a second. Sorry. Brisbane is second. Western Bulldogs are third. So I had that the round. No, that's actually correct. Sorry, that is correct. Carlton, from a percentage perspective, is fourth. I had the wrong number there. Sorry. Okay. Which is interesting. All right. So Doggies are scoring. Brisbane is scoring. Carlton is scoring. Essendon is scoring but leaking. Freo, their defensive is holding them up. Collingwood, they're okay. All right. Opposition shots at goal. All right. So this is not just what you're doing, but what you're giving the opposition. How many looks you're getting? Carlton are 13th. Carlton give you looks when it comes down to kicking a score. So never think that you're out of it against Carlton. They will give you a look. And I find, especially in the second half, usually after quarter time, it can open up for them. Last week was a bit of an anomaly against Geelong, but it really does open up in the back end of the game with Carlton. Essendon are 11th. Collingwood are 4th. Freo are 2nd. We know Fremantle are really stingy when it comes down to their defense. They don't give anybody a look. Western Bulldogs are 6th and Brisbane are 1st. So Brisbane are really scoring highly and not giving their opposition any chance virtually of getting a score whatsoever. So to me, that sounds as not just their defensive side of things that's on song. Their midfield is working hard to get back to either stifle the ball before it gets in there or support their backs from generating a score. It's really good stuff. All right. Turnover differential. What we're doing compared to what they're doing. Carlton are 8th. Essendon are 5th. Collingwood are 1st. Caused the most turnovers in the league, which is they have that swarming game plan that we've seen last year, and it's really starting to come back into effect now. Freo are 17th. So they don't turn the ball over, but their opposition do.
Because they were
Well, they turn it over more than
they?
Pardon?
They were 5th on the other stat at the start. You told us.
Yep, they were from a percentage perspective 5th, but they do give they're really low when it comes to the differential when it comes to the turnovers.
Yeah. Okay.
And Western Bulldogs 3rd, Brisbane 9th. Okay. Last but not least, the rating points. So rating points. Carlton is 2nd in rating points. Cripps, Curnow, Walsh, Mackay, Wiedering, Akers. Should we go on?
Yeah.
Essendon is 7th. Collingwood are 8th. Freo are 11th. Western Bulldogs are 3rd. Brisbane are 9th. So Brisbane tend to have really high, and then for maybe their top 5 to 6, and then there's a real big drop off.
Yeah.
From there. And if you think about Danaher, Hipwood, Neal, Andrews, Zorko, McCluggage, that sort of makes a bit of sense. Cameron, but he hasn't been firing. All right. So when you bottle all of that, you add them up. When you look at who's ranking out of all of it, here's how it works. Essendon is 6th.
6th hottest team right now in the AFL.
6th hottest based on the ranking. Like I said, I kept out GWS, but based on this, they're 6th hottest. You've then got Freo at 5th. You've got Collingwood at 4th. Now remember, this is going over the course of the season. So they had a really slow start, but have come home really well.
Okay.
3rd, you've got Carlton.
All
right. So they're really, really good at generating points from turnover. They're really, really good in terms of the spread of the players that they've got, but they do give teams a look, and they do give teams the opposition opportunity to score as well too. Second position is the Brisbane Lions, and the number one competitor to the Swans at this moment in time, looking at a statistical breakdown just on these 7 areas, is the Western Bulldogs, which stunned me. And that's based on a 15-week analysis so far. It's not of the recent form. It's from the start of the 2024 season. But
Okay.
here's where the but comes in. I've also gone and had a look at what is the draw difficulty of the remaining half of the season.
Yep.
Rightio. So we'll do it in the same order. Essendon are ranked 6th. According to the analysis, they have got the hardest draw in the back end of the season.
Out of those teams you've spoken about.
Out of these 6 teams, they've got the hardest draw.
Yep.
You've then got Fremantle have the 5th easiest.
Mm-hmm.
Collingwood have the 5th easiest. Carlton have the 18th hardest. So they're 18th. So they're like
Basically hell is the next few weeks for them.
they're gonna have some challenges. Yep. Actually, no, they've got an easy draw in the back end of the season. Sorry, take that back. They've got the 18th hardest. Back end of the draw, easy.
Okay.
Brisbane have the 6th hardest, and the Western Bulldogs have the 8th hardest. So if you want to talk about movers and shakers moving into the back end of the season, I would be saying keep your eyes on Freo, keep your eyes on Collingwood, and definitely keep your eyes on Carlton as well. The other ones, they could drop a game here and there. But they're the 3 teams that are looking mighty fine. And if I had to pick one out of them all, I would probably, funny enough, not even go with any of those 3 and go with Brisbane. They've got the 6th hardest. They've got the 2nd best breakdown of rankings over those 7 categories that I've brought up so far into this season.
Mm-hmm.
We can check this back in another 6 weeks' time to have a look at that statistical analysis and see if things have shifted. We might find there's a team that falls off the planet who continues on their upward trend. We might even have a brand new team that we haven't even mentioned, a Hawthorn or Port Adelaide. Somebody else come in that we didn't even see thinking. GWS might get their mojo back.
Well, I can confirm that the Carlton run home is actually pretty ridiculously easy.
Yep.
Giants, Bulldogs, North, Port, Collingwood, Hawks, Eagles, St Kilda.
Right. So they should finish 2nd.
They should finish 2nd.
They should finish 2nd. Right. So if they finish 2nd, get a home final. Could you imagine if Brisbane finished 3rd? Carlton, Brisbane at the G? Or Essendon finishing 3rd, Carlton, Essendon, or Carlton, Collingwood? Carlton, Collingwood, first week of the finals would be like, oh, the charts.
It would be good.
Yep. So, lots to talk about, but it's fascinating stuff when you look at the sort of breakdown at the moment that the Western Bulldogs, Brisbane, and Carlton have really set themselves up nicely. And remember, it's over the course of a season, not just the last number of weeks. And you've got to keep that in mind as well, too. No doubt those numbers will change over the next quarter of a season, or quarter of a season as well, too. So tell us what you like, listeners. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Were you surprised? I was. Jdog?
I am probably most surprised at the likes of Freo and Western Bulldogs, because I never really think of them as either a high efficiency team who scores a lot, and I don't think of them as ever as a turnover scoring team. So that was interesting, because I just think those two are kind of like the sleepers. Like they can get on a run of 2 and 3, and then they'll have a bad loss, or what you say is a bad loss, and then they're going for a run of 2 or 3 again, and they just creep.
And, you know, it's fascinating if you look at the statistical breakdown of this. And like I said, if you go to Andrew Whelan's Wheelo Ratings Twitter page, all this information is there. Some of the interesting things that when you look at it from here is, so do
you have any stats from the back end, like the real shit teams like our teams and whatnot?
Well, here's the thing, right? Melbourne are sitting 5th for opposition shots, 3rd for opposition points, 4th for rebound scores for opposition onside 50s. opposition scores per inside 50s. So their defense is humming. They're sitting first for that. But it's their forward stuff, 11th, 13th for percentage, 15th from points differential, total points for. They just don't score. So you're not going to win if you can't score, right? You look at your mob, Port Adelaide. Well, you get a bit of territory. You got an inside 50 differential. You're sitting 5th. Meters gained. You're sitting 8th. Opposition inside 50s. You're sitting 7th. So you do get territory, but your defense is leaking.
Can't score, can't defend.
Right. You actually get lots of shots. You just don't kick them.
Yeah.
So there's things like Gold Coast sit 6th for turnover differential, and opposition clangers they sit 1st. So they're putting more and more pressure on the teams. From a defensive side of things, they're not too bad. Where they're falling over is that scoring prowess again.
Yeah.
So that there are holes. It's no good being good at one area and lacking another one. But if you went through Sydney's, they've just got ones. Like as an example, they've got 61% of the statistical breakdown. They're sitting first.
Yeah. Well,
they're in the top 3, 89%, and they're in the top 6 of 94%. If you want to look at the history, is that if you're sitting in the top 6 main statistical areas, you're going to win the flag. So they're going to have to do something categorically catastrophic to not take a flag home whatsoever this year. They're just so far in front of everyone at both ends of the ground and in the middle.
It's interesting you say around the Gold Coast Suns being that defensive team, because when you think about like the best Richmond teams, that was a dimmer style. It was pressure, turnover. So if that's starting to creep into the Suns game, that's going to be exciting if they can turn that into something. So there we go. There's my concession for Suns.
No, you don't think
if that's coming through, that's a good thing for the Suns.
It is. And they're funny enough, they're 5th for ratings points. So they've got better ratings points than GWS, Collingwood, Fremantle, and Brisbane. So they're not going too bad. They're just not kicking scores. If they kick scores, they would be sitting in the top 8, but they're not.
Okay. All right.
Can I say North Melbourne on the weekend? I mentioned right at the start, they've turned the corner. I think that they've turned the corner. Their performances over the last couple of weeks have been really good. George Wardlow, Charlie Comden down back, They put the cheese through the middle, Kick it to Eddie Ford. He's actually stacked on some kilos too. He's actually a big boy, Jdog. So I like what they're doing. They just need, like I said, they probably have 4 really decent backline players. But Glenn Archer's son, he took the absolute P155 out of Bay on the weekend. They've got a good one there. A good one.
He was in everything, harder than everyone. He was great.
He was great. He was
good.
Lovely to watch.
He was real good.
He is good. And so, they're the things that I sit back and go, you know what? They've gone through the crap. I think they've gone through the crap, and they're going to start hopefully putting some more. Whether they win, it doesn't matter if they don't win. But if they're having results like that, the way they finished, kicking the last 6 goals of the game, take that out of it. Like, there's got to be a positive to it. Early this year, there was no positives whatsoever. That's a positive. Like, look back in that, guys. We were a minute or 2 away from pinching this 2 weeks in a row against the last 3 premiers.
It goes to show they have a victory, and their mindset's completely changed. And look what they're doing.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Hey, who's the worst team at the moment, Adelaide or Port Adelaide, from your perspective?
Port.
Yeah, that bad.
Because Port is undelivered potential.
Yeah.
Port is opportunities have gone to waste, and it looks far more bleak because even if you take the Josh Carr situation in the midfield and the appointed heir to Ken Hinkley, the midfield is where we got beaten up this year. So that's absolutely terrifying to think that our next coach, who's currently in charge of our midfield, that's going absolutely smash this year, is our next head coach.
Yeah, but a
He's
head
dark.
coach. Yeah, but a head coach. He's
If you
not
could look after
that
just
hands-on.
5 blokes in the middle and you can't do that well, how are you going to manage 22 plus?
And is he locked? Is he locked in?
No, I hope not. And this is where I sincerely hope, and this is my Port Adelaide gripe. Port Adelaide do not look outside their 4 walls, and they bring too many Port Adelaide people back to Port Adelaide. I think we need to do what Essendon had done and open the scope up further than just Essendon people like they did.
They need, would you say, almost a forensic breakdown of what's going wrong from a would you go as high as a board perspective, or do you think that the board side of things is okay? It's that next level down, like football department, football manager, all that sort of stuff needs to be really looked at and determined.
I'm not prepared to throw the bathwater. I mean, our trading has made some horrors, but at the same time, our trading has also bought us some absolute jets. So you can't, like, I think we overpaid for Ezra. I think we bought in Zerk Thatcher for no need. But at the same time, they're the sort of guys that also bought us Rosie and Butters and Horn Francis and that stuff. So you kind of do that. Do I think the board level? I don't know. We've got Warren Treadway on there now. Koshy probably needs to move on. I think Koshy and Ken, much like Maguire and Bucks, are tied at the hip, and I think that partnership probably needs to break as well.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think that's the same as my club with Roffey and Goodwin. I think that that needs to change a bit as well too. So I think there's a lot of clubs that'll be sitting back, really looking. You know, we spoke about Formula One quite a fair bit, where we talk about the front. Now this is where those conversations are starting. Conversations about where are the free agents going, which players are gettable, who's not gettable, and it's starting to talk around about this time of the year. So, like I said, the top 8 I reckon for the first time, if the top 8 goes the way that we think it will, where your team will drop out and probably either Geelong or GWS, I'd have to say it's one of those two. You put Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs into that. That is a top 8 that I reckon anybody could win it. On their day, anybody could win it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel top heavy like most others. Yeah,
it hasn't been. Well, in other years, it's been a very top 4. That's about it. But this is, you've got some gun teams. If they get in, even I'd even throw Hawthorn in there. If they make it, they could pinch an elimination final if they play the way they are. So footy's exciting, Jdog. That's why we talk about this every single week. I love it. I
agree.
Beautiful. Anything else you need to bring up before we wrap this bad boy up?
No. I am looking forward to the return of normal programming. I'm sick of buy rounds. I have declared it. I want 1 week off or 2 weeks off. If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. I hate buy rounds.
Just go back to, you have 5 games 1 week, 4 games the next. Just do that. Is it that hard?
This carrying it out over 4 weeks is just bullshit.
And here's a random idea. We have that opening round at the start of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have that, then those 4 teams, or those 4 games, those 8 teams, they get the first lot, and then the next group get the week after. Simple.
Yes, bullshit. I hate it.
Bullshit, mate. It's bullshit. It is bullshit.
Longest season in the world.
Stupid. It's not bullshit. You, my friend, you're not bullshit. You're awesome. He's Jamie the Jdog, ladies and gentlemen. Love him. Absolutely love him. Rightio. So, looking at this week's games, finally we get a full cracker-dacker of games this week. All right, let's rip through this really quick, Jdog. I know you've got it up on the screen. I've got it up on the screen. What am I looking forward to? All righty. It's not much. This is actually not much to be too excited about.
You're joking, aren't you? You're bloody joking me.
The only ones that I'm looking at going, maybe, Sydney versus Freo, but that's at the SCG. If it was the other way around, I'd be a little bit excited about it, but Sydney should win that one. Suns versus Collingwood would probably be one that leaves a little bit of intrigue for, I would say. But outside of that, there's a lot of low-end teams
What?
playing high-end teams.
What?
What?
Suns versus Melbourne Friday night.
Lions versus Melbourne.
Sorry, Lions versus Melbourne Friday night.
Lions by about 10 goals, JD.
That is going to be a cracker. I want to see what the Lions do.
To us?
Well, they had their way with us at our home ground.
Yeah, they will bend us over and call us they'll call us Melba.
They'll call us Hipwood.
Take it, Melba. Take it. You know you're saying you're not too good if Hipwood's kicking 5 again. He's on a tear.
He's on a tear. I'm looking forward to.
There's a lot of it'd be a pretty easy tipsters week, I think, this week. I don't see any surprises happening.
I'm looking forward to the Cats versus Essendon. There's something about it. I don't know why, but you've got the Cats who are clawing into the 8.
Yeah.
And Essendon who will be looking to consolidate even more in that top 4.
Yep. And maybe if we're really stretching it, St Kilda versus Port Adelaide at Marvel.
Well, that's if Port lose that's the season done.
Yep. And that's
where that game is.
I reckon Kenny's done. You know what's done? This episode of Lace Out as well too. Hey, Jamie, thank you very much for being the co-host with the most sexiest man alive on this podcast anyway. I'm Chris Pepper, the co-host with the second most. Like I said, tell all your friends about us. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that fun stuff. Leave a comment. More importantly, we'll be back next week, 8 p.m. on a Monday night. And I'll also have my tips for this week's round of AFL football. I had a good week. Big 5 last week.
Good round.
Pretty good. Good round. Big boy, how do you want your footy? Let's finish it off as we normally do for episode 376.
Lace out.
Just nice. Have a great weekend, listeners. Hope your team wins.
See you, listeners. Love you. Bye.
He's so sweet. All the time.